Right then guys, so bumpers off, happy with that. Parts are laid out nice and neat, so we know where they all are, they're not going to go missing. Next job, let's have a look at the wing, and if we remember, we need to remove this headlamp first. So again, we had a look around there. I'm going to select my 10mm, set my ratchet to anti-clockwise, so undo. We have a bolt there, there's a little locating peg, so let's not just pull this off randomly, let's make sure it comes this direction, and a bolt there. And again, if you remember, there'll be some wires connecting this. You'll probably struggle to see this with the camera, so I'll deal with those now. Worst thing we could do is undo this headlamp, start pulling and writhing around on all these wires still being intact. There we are, that's the headlamp adjuster. I'll just try and feel in there. That's tricky, but yeah, there's the main block. And then if we look, we've got, I would imagine that we're going to have a, sorry, try and get this camera facing. There we are, that should be the side light. There's a bulb missing, right, okay, so that's something we need to replace. Again, demonstration vehicle, it's quite common. If it was a customer's car, we'd absolutely want to sort that out. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Pop those there. And again, making sure that we're clear of all this nice paintwork. And the last few turns, I just like to put my hand on my body, a leg, a thigh, anything in the way, so that can't just slip and slide off, go crashing to the floor, upsetting me and a customer and the parts department for having to order a new one. So that's lifted off quite nicely. I'm going to stick it on these mats, and I'm going to store it under there, out of the way. Right, onto the wing. If we take a look at this wing, we were right, there's some 10mm bolts holding this in position. Much like the bumper, there's typically certain areas where these parts are held in place. On a wing, we're going to have something holding the top, something holding the back edge, typically something underneath near the sill, and again, there we are, something typically on the front edge. And we can't get to these obviously without the bumper headlamp being out of the way. That's quite normal. Another thing to note, we have an indicator, or a side repeat we should call that. And if we were to undo all these bolts, start pulling the wing off, clearly that has to be attached via a cable or a wire of some sort. Now we've got this wheel arch liner out the way, we can have a little feel around. And if you can see that movement, it's not uncommon to have a little foam dam or some sort of extra trim, and that's just to stop excessive mud, moisture, dirt, road grime flicking up and causing all kinds of corrosion problems. Because that's part of the wheel arch assembly, if you like, we'll keep those together. And I should now have access to the back of the side repeat. You can see that wobbling, and these usually have clips that will push in. You can see them there, and those are the bits that hold on to the wing, and again that tends to undo. Another reason for gloves, got a bulb there, that can't be disconnected actually unless we go up into the inner wing section, so we'll just dangle that down out of the way. Again, we'll pop this somewhere safe, and we can look at removing these bolts. So 1, 2, 3 on top, 1 at the front, 1 underneath, and that should leave us, I did say I'd get a light set up, I'll do that now. That should leave us with, yep, 1 down there. Can't see any others until we get near the top, can't access it from here. So if we stand back outside again, yep, and we can see a bolt there. So, nice and simple. Extension again. Make sure we're not scratching and bashing anything. Line this all the way out. I'm going to leave that one with a few turns on it, much the same reason as the screwdriver and the bumper. When we take every bolt out, we just don't want it to just collapse and fall on the floor. Again, even if we were removing and replacing with a new wing, it's just good practice to keep an eye on your panels, not have them crash into the floor. That's a little bit tighter. Very similar with the screwdriver, good positive pressure is going to reduce the chance of things slipping off and rounding bolts. So it's just good to get into the habit of applying good, solid, positive pressure whenever you're going to remove a fixing. Obviously I'm being really careful around this door, really deliberate as to how little or how much I move this, because I don't want to bash into the door or catch the wing. Same in this little gap. In fact, I brought another little extension just to give us a bit better reach, so we're not crashing and bashing. See there, we'll be a bit close to the door. And again, let's be really deliberate. You might notice I can't just pull this ratchet off. I've got to depress a little button, that detaches it, and that's just to stop you from dropping your sockets, etc, etc. Now we've removed those, I'm always a little bit tentative about just shutting a door. One, I don't want this wing to have moved and catch the door. Two, I don't want to slam it and a thing fall to the floor. Even though I've left a bolt in there, you never know, we all have bad days. I might have forgotten this time around and then we end up damaging a wing when we didn't need to. But I think we're good. So I'm going to undo this last bolt, nice and careful, and then I'm just looking around. Yep, I've got things set up so I can put this down safe. Now when I lift this off, I'm going to be really cautious and really careful of this back edge. I do not want to catch there. We've got a little trim there that was making that stick. Remember that when we're putting the wing back on. And again, just being organised. Mats are there, and I've got one to hand for the top, just so we're not any sharp edges touching anywhere where it shouldn't and creating damage. Okay, fairly simple and straightforward.